Okay, guys, I had a video I posted to YouTube. I didn't post it to the Discord because I ended up hating the video. It doesn't really explain that much. So instead, I'm just going to actually go through and step by step create a weapon from scratch with animation retargets. Give me 2 seconds here. Oh, never mind. With retargeted animations, adding those into the blueprint, and I can close this out. We will do this step by step. It might be a long process to get everything set exactly how we want to set it, but in the end, we'll get it done. So, first things first, well, we'll talk about at the very end of this video about swapping arms on your ZST character if you have like a ton of animations attached to a set of arms that you want to use, and instead of like retargeting everything and then like maybe doing some keys and stuff, it gets like really drawn out. At the end, we'll talk about swapping the arms so you can get your bulk of your animations done, and then if you have to do a couple of retargets from other kits, then what is applied for the bulk of this video will work for that. So first things first here, we're gonna go in to whatever weapon you have that you want to implement. So I have this FPS or Ultimate FPS Animations kit. We'll go through and pick a gun model here. We've kind of been excited to do a bullpup rifle. So maybe I think it's this one here. I'll take a look at it. I think this is one of the bullpups. This one seems a little crazy, but yeah, sure, we'll do rifle 4. I don't think there's... Oh, no, I want to do rifle 3. Yeah, this is the bullpup I need. Rifle 3. Okay, so now that we know what the name of the rifle is, we will go to our HGT, we will go to weapons, and we will go to weapon BP. You can copy kind of any gun that you already have. I'll probably use my... we'll duplicate this M4 that I have, or this M16, whatever you want to call it. Just go ahead and duplicate. We'll name it AR. Actually, no, we won't. We'll do no, we will AR 05 because I think we already have a 4, and then I add BP. Capitalize it so you know it's a blueprint. Alright, we'll go in to the viewport here, and we will select... There's some other stuff that's going to have to get deleted on this, not a big deal. We'll just go ahead and put our FP mesh here. Sometimes this gets a little crazy, I've noticed in this kit. 4. Oh no, I'm sorry, was it 3? Yeah, rifle 3. And then we'll go here and we'll do 3. Select your rifle, compile, and save. Again, sometimes this gets a little crazy, so you might have to close it and reopen it. Yeah, there you go. Now it's right. So we can. It seems that the magazine is a pre-attached to this rifle, and that the animation is probably going to be built into the rifle. If you're using the LPSP kit, the rifle is, or the magazine is separate, and the animation blueprint is selected from the rifle in the LPSP kit. Same as the LPAMG kit. I've noticed in the Ultimate FPS kit though, there's no animation blueprints. He calls everything from the blueprint of the rifle, which we will actually have to call in our third-person character, and I'll show you that a little bit later. But for the sake of retargeting, we'll just go to like this magazine. We'll delete it because we don't need it. We'll delete this laser, the front sight. We'll delete that. This magazine, third person, the front sight here. Delete that laser and the laser beam. Again, we'll set all this stuff up at the end, but mostly we're just focused on the weapon at this point. Sight of P. Okay, so now we just have the basic kit that you would have in ZST, and so what we'll do here is we'll grab our muzzles and select both of them at the same time. You can do control and then holding, you can grab both of them at the same time and just kind of move them into place. And then we'll get like a rough idea. And I think for some reason every time I do one of these ZS or Ultimate FPS kit, the weapon's a little offset. I don't know why that is. It's probably just the way that he developed the meshes in Blender. Make sure your aiming here is, you know, kind of in the right spot. We'll just do like a general. Try to get it close. And you can make this arrow skinny, but don't forget you have to change it back to 1 when you're done. So if you want to get it like really perfect, you can do like 0.3, I think. Yeah, you can make it really skinny. And maybe like a 0.3, so now you can say, okay, like, yeah, it's going right through. But then you have to go back to 1, otherwise it'll stretch the gun out. It's kind of funny. Once you've got that basic stuff, good lord, man, this is gonna drive me crazy. Once you've got that set, now you have a weapon blueprint, and you can go back to weapons and go into your weapon info table. And we copied AR02 LS, so we can just duplicate this. We'll change the name. You have to right click, do rename. We'll just do AR05. We'll rename it to example for now, because I haven't thought of a name for this rifle in the game yet. And then we'll change this to AR05, which is our AR05 blueprint. So now that we've got it set up in our weapon info table, all of the stuff, or all the animations from our other rifle are going to be in place here. So anything that's not related to the locomotion is going to be set here. So shooting, reload animations, inspections, rechamber, all that stuff, like open bolt, you know, whatever you have set. Next thing, we'll get into the nitty gritty of the IK rig here. And first thing I'll do is I'll just open up my Ultimate FPS rig and kind of show you the important stuff you have to focus when you're doing an IK retarget. If you don't know how to do an IK rig, there's tons of videos. I'm not going to really like explain exactly how to set it up. I'm just going to explain how to make it better, especially when talking about the ZST kit. So don't worry about this pelvis goal. Spine through all your fingers. You don't really have to do anything crazy for any of these. And I think that's all the fingers. Pinky left. Did I miss a finger? No, I didn't. Okay, we're good. So just as an example, like spine is always going to be spine 1 to spine 3. New retarget chain from selected bones, and then it'll create and populate on the right hand side here when you make a rig for IK. So fingers we're good on. You just go, you find your fingers, index to index 3, and that's your retarget chain for fingers. Now, same with neck. It's just simply neck to head. Now, where things get a little bit different is when we're talking about the arms. So arms, you always start at clavicle. What I do with arms is I'll do clavicle left, upper arm, lower arm to hand left. Skip the lower arm twist. Don't worry about that. You'll do a new retarget chain from selected bones here, and it will make 2 classes or 2 retarget chains. Keep both of them. Just name one clavicle left and one clavicle left 0. Make sure it's clavicle left to lower arm left, and on clavicle left 0, it's going to be clavicle left to hand left. It'll skip the lower arm twist. Same exact thing for clavicle right. Highlight those, and then it will make 2. Clavicle right 0. You can name the second one. Just make sure it is again clavicle right to lower arm right, clavicle right to hand right. When we do thighs, it's very similar, but it should only create one when you do thighs, so you won't have to worry about a dupe. When you do thighs, you do thigh left, calf left, foot left, and then thigh right, calf right, ball right. And then you're done with your thighs. Skip the foot R. Or I'm sorry, this one is different. This one is weird because of the way it's set up. It's thigh left, the calf left, and foot left. You skip the calf twist, but on this one I highlighted the wrong one. It is thigh right, calf right, not foot. Oh no, ball. It's set up 1, 2, 3 here, and then up here it's got the calf twist in here, but the calf twist is down here. It's almost like they forgot to put it in when creating the bone and then added it after the fact. I don't know. So that covers the legs. And then spine, new 1 and spine new 2. I've had some issues in the past with the clavicles or the shoulders not moving with animations. And in first-person animations, it's important for these clavicles to have a 3-dimensional axis of up, down, left, right for animations. Because it puts the arms in the correct place that they need to be. If you have issues with retargeting, make a spine new 1 and a spine new 2. What these two retargets are is you're going to take your spine 3 to clavicle left, and you can see that it's got the shoulder area here that it's retargeting. Same with, you can do the other spine new 2, spine 3 to clavicle right, and then you go at the opposite side. I've had some great success with that in the past. The next thing is, a lot of people want to talk about this. I've had some good success. Not every skeleton needs this. It's dependent. I don't know. At most it's a redundancy, so it's not going to hurt you if you put it in here. It's just pelvis to pelvis. So literally just come up to pelvis, right click, new retarget chain from selected bones, and it'll put a pelvis in here. Don't worry about having a goal. And then the last bit of the IK rig, if you have weapons like bolt action rifles or anything with a right hand, has to actually physically leave the weapon, cycle a bolt, or hold the weapon in a certain place and then cock it back with the opposite hand. As long as it leaves the rifle, you have to have an IK handgun. These 9 times out of 10 are animated with whatever weapon you purchase. So if you buy a weapon like a bolt action rifle, then it will have animated IK handguns, because that's how you achieve that. It's not actually connected to the hand socket, it's connected to the IK handgun. So when you retarget these, I do the IK hand root to the IK handgun. I'll make that a retarget chain just like this, and then that should make your IK hand root right here, which is IK hand root to IK handgun. And then the 2 other chains I create are IK handgun to IK hand left. Oops, wrong button. So IK handgun to IK hand left. It'll probably do a dupe. Just make sure one is IK handgun and delete the other one, and it's just going to be the same here, hand to hand left, and then IK handgun to IK handgun, or IK hand right. If it makes a dupe, just delete it, name it IK handgun 0, then you'll have your handgun to hand right. That is pretty much everything you need for each rig to make sure everything's got the proper animation. Do that with your other rig. And once you are set, I'll leave this up here so you can kind of copy if you have any questions on where things are, how I named them to make it easier for you. Great. So you've created both your rigs. You can close this out. In order to make an IK rig, go to animations and do a IK rig, an IK retargeter. Click this, name it whatever you would like. I always name my IK retargeted or retarget rigs whatever the animation I'm stealing from and placing to. So for instance, I'm stealing animations from Ultimate FPS and putting them on my LPAMG rig. So this is Ultimate FPS 2 LPAMG rig. If you're dealing with tons of animations like me, don't mix these up because it gets real confusing later down the line. As a matter of fact, I have to delete this one because I have another one in all caps, and that still confuses me sometimes because there's another, LPMG to LPSP, ARMS, it's a whole thing. So just make sure you're naming it what you're coming from and what you're applying to, and it'll ask you that when you create the rig. What asset would you like to take animations from? And then when you open this up for the first time, it'll say, and you click target IK rig asset, you're going to pick the rig you're going to apply the retarget animations to. When you do this, it'll probably say there's a offset. Would you like to apply the offset? No. We're going to handle that ourselves, and we're not going to deal with whatever offset, just to eliminate any errors that could occur with the way that the animations come out when they're exported. Here you can do your preview mesh, which it'll always be whatever preview, and you can see here how they're offset. That is what it's asking you if you want to apply. That doesn't really matter because you're going to come down, and as soon as you play an animation, it should be in the right place. If it's not in the right place, you need to go to your chain mapping. Double check everything here, make sure it's all lined up. If it's not, you can do auto map new chains, or you can manually select whatever you like on the right hand side here. Another thing to note is certain things need to be set to absolute. I particularly on this particular IK retarget rig, the pelvis needs to be set to the absolute. So with this being absolute, a lot of people have some debates about whether the retarget root needs to be X or Y for root or pelvis. I've had some issues with other skeletons where one needs to be root and the other needs to be pelvis, and some other skeletons where it's flipped, and the source needs to be the pelvis as the retarget root, and this needs to be on the target the root. On this particular one, both of them are set to the pelvis as the retarget root. You can kind of play with setting this as the retarget root on one, this is the one retarget root on the other, and kind of flip them back and forth until you get your desired effect. I've done that quite a few times. I'll show you in another rig where they're flipped, and it works just fine for that rig. Yeah, I have pelvis on absolute. If I don't put this on absolute and do none, you can see that it comes up here, and that's what it's talking about with the offset. So we're basically applying an offset by making the pelvis the absolute, which is why we don't need to apply one when we open up the IK rig. Now, if it looks like this, I've had some other IK rigs in the past where you go, okay, everything looks good. The skeleton is down here with the debug lines. You can see like this would be down here, the pelvis would be in the right spot, but the clavicles aren't. So you can go to your clavicle and you can make that absolute. You can see here that the clavicle now matches the absolute position of the other clavicles more or less, but it's wrong because you can see the offset of the debug lines here are in the wrong position. So on this particular IK rig, this does not work. So I just go back to none, make sure that the pelvis is set to absolute, and again, this is IK retarget rig dependent. You will have to play with some of these, but 9 times out of 10, it's always going to be the big main bone groups. So your pelvis, your spine, your clavicles, especially when you're dealing with FPS arms, those are going to be the important ones. You don't really have to worry about fingers or anything like that. IK handgun is another important one. On this particular rig, it does have to be set to absolute, and I think it has to be set to absolute on all of them. So if I go to source here and I turn this off, you can see that the IK hand gun here, which is just IK hand gun, I think that's the IK hand, yeah, this is just IK handgun to IK handgun right, if I'm not or IK handgun to IK hand left, if I'm not mistaken. If you don't have this set to absolute and you just export your animations, if you're using an IK handgun for a weapon socket, it's going to be off, up, and left, and disappear when you do the reloads or whatever animations you're running. It's going to be up in front of your face, and you might be thinking, well, oh, I'll just rekey it. Yeah, no, don't. It's way too much work. Don't rekey it. Don't move it, and just make sure it's good in the IK rig, and then you won't have to worry about any of that stuff. So come down here at absolute, like you can see this root. I think it doesn't matter on this particular one. Yeah, this one I just set them to absolute just to be absolutely sure. You can set all 3 of these to absolute. My thighs are not absolute, and my clavicles on this particular one are not absolute. I'll go back and look at another rig, and you can see how it'll be different. Everything else is pretty much regular except for pelvis and stuff. So we'll go ahead and we'll grab my rifle 3 animations. So what we're going to need for the animation blueprint is probably going to be rifle 3 arms walk as a sequence. We don't need to do any montages right now. We don't need to do reload. We could do arms run, maybe a run to idle. We don't need to do undraw because that's set in the weapon data table. Rifle 3 arms idle, idle to run. Where is aim? Arms ADS idle. We'll do some maybe jump phase 2 and 3. Make sure you get your jumps. And I think that's pretty much all we're going to need for rifle 3 for now. Yeah, that's rifle 2, rifle 3, 5. We might as well do fire because we can set that on the table pretty quickly. Fire ADS. We don't have to do equip. I just use pretty much the same unequip and equip montage for every rifle. I think it just looks cleaner. You could do custom stuff, it doesn't really matter. So we'll retarget these. We'll go ahead and export the selected animations. You can go to I do everything in a very specific folder, so FPS animations, and then no, I guess I didn't make a folder for these yet. Huh. I swear I thought I did. We'll have to look at that in a second, but for now, I can always move them later. I'll just do I'll put it under my first person animations, and we'll just go ahead and export those. And Unreal 5.1, I don't believe it actually puts the retarget in the nomenclature, so don't mix up your animations. You can add a suffix to it. Yeah, unfortunately, this is where I've got all my stuff because I haven't created a folder yet. I'm going to make a folder. Don't worry about it. So this is where everything's going right now. Make sure you save all these that you've created. So just grab that. They'll have a star if they're not saved. Control S. It will save all the animations you just created instead of opening them up one by one. Now that we've got our rifle arms animations, we'll take a look at one real quick just for S and Gs. I think this is maybe, ADS. Yeah, so it's not going to be too much movement, if any at all, probably on that one. Not much. We'll take a look at another one. Rifle 3 arms idle. Yeah, it's very, it's really subtle. That's crazy. I might blend this with another. Yeah, he's just barely breathing. Barely moving. Yeah. Not the best idle, but, whatever. It's more about the running and stuff. So I'll just show you, like, we'll do arms run. Sure. Yeah, that's better. Okay, now we got some movement and stuff. Now, go ahead and open up your HGT arms, your ZST, FPS arms, and or whatever custom arms you've had that you put on your character. Again, we'll discuss that at the end of the video if you haven't done that. Definitely recommend using your own arms. Not that there's anything wrong with HGTs, but it is nice because you don't have to worry about doing so many retargets. And where we will start is, I don't even know what this is. This isn't, I think this was an example I used. We can just go ahead and make sure that that's not being used, which it is not. We'll delete that. We'll compile and save real quick. Just compiled already. Don't know why I did it again. Alright, so we will go ahead and copy something. We'll just do this AR01. Copy a general state you have here. As a matter of fact, I can delete this example because that's not hooked up to anything. Pull that down. Paste your new state machine. Now you've got your new state machine. Name it whatever you'd like. I'm going to name mine what the rifle is going to be in the actual weapon data table. We'll do AR-05. Now we need to create a cache pose for this. You can drag out of that and do new save cache pose. Name this the same exact thing. So AR_05. Now we have a new animation cache pose. We're gonna go ahead and save everything at this point. Make sure you hit File, Save All. Make sure you compile so that everything is saved the way that it is. We're going to go ahead and, since we've already done this, close out that arms. The reason we're doing all this is because I've had some experience in the past where when you add a new enumerator to this, it crashes the engine. So hopefully we don't crash the engine, and we can just continue. But just in case, I've saved everything. The next step is, after you've created the state machine, you'll have to go into the state machine and change the animations. But before we do that, we will create a new enumerator to be plugged into this blend poses by weapons. Go back to your HGT folder, go into weapons, and then go to the weapon anims enum table. You can do add enumerator. We'll call this one AR_05 because it's going to have a lot of different animations that are not related to these animations. If you have a lot of weapons that use generally the same animation, by all means, you can use the same enumerator and just use the same weapon cache pose. You don't even have to do this if they line up roughly. It is nice to make new enumerators because you can transform and modify the bone of whatever weapon you have and change the IK in the third person to each individual weapon. That's why I have so many, because certain things don't line up with other weapons and you want to be able to change that without changing other weapons. So we've got our AR-05 set up here, and we'll save that. We'll save this, and we'll save this, just in case things get cray-cray. Now what you want to do is come to any one of these, right click, and add pin for element, AR-05. Compile. Don't crash. Okay, good. We didn't crash. Uh-oh, what's this note for? AR-05 post was visible but ignored. Okay, that's because we have not entered it in yet. You can also add blend times here, which I've never really paid attention to. You can add blend times to when switching to weapons. The blend for the animation changes. Not a huge deal if you're using, undraw and draw poses. It's going to kind of just blend with the animations that you have called for draw and undraw poses. But yeah, you can do that here. When switching weapons, it will change the blend. So you might be able to use that to your benefit. Now, we're going to right click and we're going to use cache pose, and we're going to grab our new rifle that created AR-05. So we're getting the cache pose from here, and now we are going to plug it up. This actually might cause a crash. We'll see. Okay, very good. We did not crash. Rare. I've crashed so many times doing that. Oh, man. We'll go ahead and drag these down out a little bit, just so they're not in the way. And I'll explain these in a second. As a matter of fact, we're probably going to have to create some new ones and use them. So now we've got our new state machine. We'll kind of go in here and start messing with this. And we will go to our weapon animation here in the edit preview, and we'll change it to AR-05. So now he is going to be using the animations that we're using in AR-05. So right here we're in our idle state, so if we're not aiming, we're just standing still and idling. We will change this to, you can go back and get the names of your, find your animations, and we'll just type in like rifle 3 to make sure we get everything right here. So it's just simply rifle 3 arms idle in my case. We'll change this to, you can click this and go to the sequence and do the name of the animation that you've retargeted, which is going to be rifle 3 arms idle. We'll compile and save this. So now his arms are in. Now they're playing the idle animation that we've retargeted. You can see the slight breathing here. And then for aim, we'll do rifle 3 ADS, I think they call it. Rifle 3 arms ADS idle. Compile. Save, just in case. Sometimes with big blueprints and stuff, it'll crash the engine. I've had issues, so just make sure you save every time after you can, anytime you possibly can. Now when we want to test this, you go down to is aiming. You can see his arms move to is aiming, and you can actually change the rate at which this blends to make it smoother if you'd like. But you can also change that in the weapon data table, the delay to aim, or ADS speed, so you can make it a little bit smoother and not so harsh. Now, next thing is we've got a rough, just idle, standing still, and ADS idle. So what we want to do is make sure that this looks actually decent on the weapon that we're going to be currently using. I will probably not use an IK handgun for this because he uses left hand for reloading and his right hand does not leave the weapon. So I'll go to whatever skeleton you have. So I think you can actually probably do this from the animation blueprint. So yeah, if you're in your animation blueprint on the top right, you can hit the skeleton and it will show you whatever skeleton it is attached to for that animation blueprint. Just for the sake of keeping this clean, if you already have an attached asset here, right click, remove all attached assets, and it will get rid of that preview asset, and we will make a new socket for our weapon because we want it to be in a very specific place. So go to your hand right, add a socket, and we will call this AR_05, and it's going to be in some crazy wild position, and we'll go ahead and do add preview, type in whatever weapon you want to use here, so we'll use that. We'll save this. It won't update on your arms. I don't exactly remember how to force update this. I'm not sure. I know the easiest way is to save and close it. Go back into your character, your skeleton character. Top right, you have a animation blueprint here that you can reopen your animation blueprint. So now we have the preview here, and we can drag this over here, make it a little bit bigger. And this beats going into the game and checking where everything needs to be. Kind of make this a little bit bigger here. Bring that down. So we will first start with a rotation, and we'll kind of rotate it in the general direction that it needs to be. That looks pretty in line with the hands. Oh, also make sure that you're on AR-05 again, otherwise your weapon's not going to be in the right spot. And then we can move it into a rough position here. I hate it when it does this. I want this here. Okay, now it won't close every time I click. Get kind of move this forward, a little bit this way. Again, it doesn't have to be like. So if you have some like issues with your arms clipping and stuff like this on your magazine, just remember this is a, like for instance, this is a bullpup rifle. You can make some adjustments here, but more or less you're not going to be able to see that on your character. So don't worry about minor clipping like this. You're not going to see it on the reload, and your camera is going to be like here. So you'll be lucky to see the thumb. Just don't fret over stuff like this. It's trivial. You can see the hands are kind of in a weird place. It's kind of up a little bit. So we'll bring, kind of rotate it down. And we'll do some adjustments with the left hand IK. Actually, we're mostly worried about the backhand here and making sure it's lined up with the backhand here, because we're going to use a left hand IK on this anyway. So wherever the weapon's pointing, that's going to be the general area. We want to make sure that this isn't so super twisted. Make it straighter there. Yeah, we definitely need to tilt down a lot. More like that. Now we're way far forward, so do some minor movements there, and we're probably going to have to come a little bit in. So now we got a pretty good rough spot. I think I actually need to come down a little bit more, honestly. Just like that. Now we've got a good general area where we can start. And again, this doesn't have to line up perfect because you're going to use a left-hand IK that's built into the weapon itself. So this doesn't have to be perfect. All that's going to get moved in your first-person character anyway. So we'll go ahead and save that for now. And if you want to not start from complete scratch, you can duplicate another one of these sockets, and then it'll be closer, so you have to do less adjustments to get the weapon in the right spot. So I think the next step here is we are going to go to the AR-05 info table, and we'll make sure that this is on the correct weapon. So right now it's on IK hand socket. We're going to put this just on FP weapon socket AR_05. So now it's going to be played on that right hand socket. And let me see if there is anything. We'll go ahead and leave the skeleton open in case we need to make any adjustments. We can actually do that live. We're definitely going to have to adjust the left hand IK in game. That's the only sour part about this. So we will minimize this and actually bring this back over here. Go back into your weapons. Go back to your weapon blueprint. Open up your new rifle and open full blueprint editor. Go back to your viewport, and you'll see here the FP left hand IK is like way out of whack. First things first, I would recommend don't touch it. If you already have like a previous IK, it's not gonna be perfect, but it's gonna be close. So leave it where it is for now, and then hit this cycles the transform gizmo coordinate systems, and it'll make it straight, which makes it a lot easier to adjust. It will always be in this position. It won't turn when you turn it. It's a little bit easier for me to adjust that way. I know exactly which way it's going to go every time I make an adjustment. Go ahead and save that. We will, if you've got like some stuff in the way, you're going to want to go to your, this is optional. If you want to go through a door or you have a secret hiding spot, I always come into Gameplay GM and do a, actually, it's not Gameplay GM, but I do want to set this to 5 because I don't want my Hell Wave running off the rip. Uh-oh. We might have crashed. Yeah, we crashed. Every once in a while, when you start getting into some crazy shit, it'll crash. But no big deal, we saved everything we already had. Let me pause this and then I'll reopen it in about 2 seconds. Okay, we are back. When it reopens, if you crash, always hit open selected assets so you can see if anything didn't save, because it'll let you open up every single window here that was closed when you unexpectedly closed. When you go back into your animation blueprint, let me make sure I'm recording. I am. Sometimes if you go and select like different animations, the arms will jump up and down and all over the place. That means that when you added a socket here, if you delete or add a socket while animating, I'm not exactly sure how to replicate it, but sometimes when you add or delete sockets, especially to the IK handgun section here, I don't know if this is true for every animation, but all your LPSP animations, or all my LPSP animations, have a little notification here that say animation is currently being modified. Please save or reload asset, or something along those lines. And so it messes up all the animations. What I have to do is I have to go to all my animation sequences, highlight every single one of them like this, and Control S, save them. Once you save, go through your animations that you know you're using on a bulk of your assets. I'm not sure if this is just LPSP. And then come back here and check and make sure that when you swap through all of these animations, the arms don't jump up and down. Just a little tidbit of information if you add or remove a socket and you have issues. So, of course, my my little thing here didn't save, so I'm going to go ahead and fix that, and then I will be right back. Okay, we're back, and even better than before, now we don't have a clipping because I used a different socket. I just used a socket, I used FP Rifle socket, which comes with the ZST kit. It was already kind of straight. All I had to do was aim it down a little bit. Matter of fact, I probably aimed this up just a touch before we continue, so I'm not losing my mind. And it looks good. You can tell that this animation was built for the weapon, which is why we're using specific animations for specific weapons. And then again, don't worry about your left-hand IK. We're going to set that in just a second. So we'll go ahead and we will save. Make sure that your skeleton is saved and you're moving the right socket. That way you don't have to do this again. Save that. Save your info table. Make sure everything here doesn't get erased if you lose all your data. Matter of fact, I'm just going to be super safe. Save all. Next, we're going to open our weapon BP again. Go to viewport. Select your left-hand IK. Do this one more time. We will probably shut down the table and move this over here, and then minimize it. We will go into that thing I was talking about before. One of the gameplay PC, just to add some points. You can add as many points as you want here. I usually do like 10,000 for testing. That way we can go up the stairs and go somewhere safe away from zombies. Of course I did this on client. Why wouldn't I? Yeah, I'm an idiot. So, another thing is, in order to test this properly, you need to, to load faster. I would recommend just doing it on standalone. You don't have to worry about replication and all this stuff. It's already handled. And then go to your characters, your child character, because this particular child character is the one that I'm loading with at all times. We'll do starting weapon, inventory, do 5. So now you'll load in with that weapon. We can get a general. It's gonna look weird when I walk because we haven't set those animations up yet. So, already we can see that something is wrong here. And aim sight works. Let's see what we have. Nice spot. Meet this character. Go to our skeleton. And see if making an adjustment in our skeleton makes a difference. Clavicle. Where are we at? Okay. Okay, so that made a huge difference. Alright. Sometimes you can't rely on your animation blueprint to tell you the whole truth. And you can see we're off the general location of where we want the reticle to kind of line up with the barrel here. And we can't see our finger, so we'll eject and see we are off here. We'll Also, if you notice, he is not playing the correct animation here, which is probably why it's messed up. So we'll double check, because this doesn't look right anymore. You're like, okay, what's going on here? Let's go back to our Air 05. Compile. We should do that. We should go back to pistol. Because this is a, don't change this. Change this. Let's see what's going on here. The issue you might run into. Something is wrong with our got our Air 05 cache, but is it being no? See? Don't forget, guys. Close this out. You can't forget. I'm an idiot. Go to your... First of all, quit this. Before we make any more adjustments that are not correct, go to your weapons, weapon info table. Make sure you set the animation in the weapon info table. Come here. It's going to be weapon anim set. Your new one that you created. That's where it's pulling the animations from. Oh, I can't believe I missed that. Now it's going to be way off, which is probably correct in the previous. So over here, we'll make our adjustments that look proper for the character. It's full screen. Pull up our skeleton character, and we will make some adjustments. And I always recommend ejecting. You'll have to kind of fight through looking through your character arms here, but you can get an idea in game of where everything's supposed to kind of line up. Of course, I think I made a huge mistake with the rotation. Yeah, I sure did. So we'll rotate this back down again. I'll probably actually just pause it right here, set this back up correctly, and then we'll continue.